Every single time you send an email, watch a video, or even just browse a website, you are relying on this whole secret set of rules that makes everything work. They're called communication protocols, and they are the hidden language that prevents our entire digital world from just collapsing into chaos. So how in the world do they pull it off? And I mean, think about it, right? You've got billions of devices, your phone, your laptop, servers all over the globe, all trying to talk at the exact same time. How does your request to see a cat video not get completely tangled up with someone else's bank transfer? Well, the answer isn't some crazy complex piece of tech. It's actually a surprisingly simple idea. And that's it. That's the key. At its very core, the internet is just one massive, ongoing conversation. And just like any good conversation, it absolutely needs rules. These protocols, they provide that structure. They make sure every device gets a chance to speak and, way more importantly, to actually be understood. Okay, so to really, truly appreciate these roles, let's do a little thought experiment. Let's imagine for a second what happens when they don't exist. What would our digital world even look like if it was all just pure chaos? It would be a complete and utter mess. I'm talking about a total digital free-for-all. You'd have devices shouting over each other in different formats, sending data way too fast or too slow, with absolutely no confirmation that anything ever arrived. Nothing. And I mean nothing would work. And it's that exact chaos that protocols are designed to prevent. So how do we bring order to this mess? Well, we introduce some rules. Let's take a closer look at what these digital rules of talk are all about. At its heart, a protocol is really just an agreement. It's a shared standard that basically says, okay, everyone, this is how we're going to communicate. It doesn't matter if you're a brand new smartphone or a 20-year-old server. As long as you follow the rules, you can join the conversation. Simple as that. And this agreement, it basically breaks down into three key parts. First up, you've got syntax. Think of this as the grammar. It dictates the exact structure of the data. Then you have semantics. This defines what all that data actually means. And finally, you've got timing, which is all about the pace and the turn-taking, making sure devices aren't just talking all over each other. But here's where it gets really interesting. Just like in real life, right? Not all conversations are the same. Sometimes you need a slow, careful, deliberate chat to make sure every single word is understood perfectly. And other times, well, you just need to shout something really fast across the room. The internet has rules for both. And this analogy just illustrates the two main approaches perfectly. The first one is called TCP, and it's kind of like sending a registered letter. It's signed, it's sealed, and you get a confirmation that it was delivered. The second one is called UDP, and it's much more like a postcard. You just drop it in the mail and kind of hope for the best. It's way faster for sure, but there are absolutely no guarantees. Now, if we look under the hood, we can really see the trade-off here. TCP, the letter, is connection-oriented. That means it formally starts and ends the conversation, like a phone call. This is how it gives you guaranteed order delivery. But all of that checking and confirming takes time and creates more overhead, sort of like background chatter. UDP, the postcard, is connectionless. It just sends the data out there, so it's way, way faster with much less overhead, but you completely sacrifice that guarantee of reliability. So where do you see these two in action? Well, you use reliable TCP for things that have to be absolutely perfect. Things like loading a web page or sending an email, where every single bit of data has to be in the exact right order. But for something like video streaming or online gaming, speed is everything. A single dropped pixel for a split second is way better than the entire stream stopping to buffer. And that's where the raw speed of UDP is totally essential. Okay, so we've got these different conversation styles, but how does a message actually travel from an app on your screen all the way down to the physical wires and cables? Well, the answer is in a series of layers, and each one has its own specific job to do. Think of it like a giant, super fast mail service. So at the very top, your web browser writes the letter using a protocol like HTTP. Then that letter gets put inside a reliable, registered envelope using TCP. Next, that envelope gets a local address put on it, for your Wi-Fi network. And finally, the postal truck, the physical layer, carries it as electrical pulses or signals of light to its destination. Each layer has its own set of rules, its own protocols, all working together in harmony. So I know this all sounds a little techy, but why does this journey really matter? Because these protocols, they aren't just some abstract concept. They are the invisible backbone that is powering every single thing you do online, every day. When you check your email in the morning, you're using specific protocols like SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, to send your mail, and others like POP3 to get it. And working underneath all of them is good old reliable TCP, making sure not a single word of your message gets lost along the way. That movie you're about to stream tonight, it's being sent to your screen using fast UDP. It's all about prioritizing that smooth, continuous flow of data over getting every single bit perfectly right. It's choosing speed over absolute perfection. And if you're a gamer, you have UDP to thank for keeping that frustrating lag to a minimum. It's just blasting your character's position across the internet as fast as possible, because in a fast-paced game, the absolute most recent information is way more important than slightly older, delayed information. Even your security online is all thanks to protocols. You know when you see that little lock icon in your browser? That means a protocol called TLS, or Transport Layer Security, is creating an encrypted, secret tunnel for your data. It's what keeps things like your credit card numbers safe from anybody trying to snoop. At the end of the day, it really just comes down to this simple truth. From the simplest text message you send to the most complex global financial system on the planet, none of it, absolutely none of it, would even exist without these agreed-upon rules of conversation.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? We've created all these amazing rules for computers to talk to each other. But now, with the Internet of Things, we've got cars and homes and even coffee makers joining the conversation. So what new protocols, what new digital etiquette are we going to need for this increasingly crowded and way more complex digital world?